I'm an ex-Apple, ex-Amazon senior engineer, and I'm going to show you 3 things that you're missing to turn tech rejections into offers. Now, this is something that I noticed when I was at Amazon specifically, and whilst I knew this, it allowed me to land even more ideal offers moving into the future. So we can actually go ahead and turn those rejections into more offers so we can get the best opportunities on the market. Now, the way that I managed to do this was understanding 3 key components in a formula. Now, this formula is mindset, strategies, and results. Now, these 3 components is going to be what you're missing to land your ideal roles. And I'm going to be breaking down everything in this video so you know exactly what I mean by each step and how to actually make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and not settling for less anymore or having more rejections. So let's go through step by step. Okay, let's go through the mindset part first, because without a foundation of a good mindset, we're never going to be able to get the strategies or results that we want. Now, the mindset is important, right? Because you'd be surprised. There's a lot of tech professionals out there who just simply have the incorrect mindset when it comes to things in tech hiring. So for example, everything's working against me. What's the point in trying? Or just wishing on hope and luck, having no strategies at all, begging for referrals and handouts opposed to them actually just doing better themselves. And there's just a whole bunch more in terms of like the mindset aspect of things. Now, with a good mindset, you can effectively get any sort of help that you want. Because if you have a mindset where it's like, okay, well, I don't know the answers, and you self-reflect and you say, I don't know the answers, but I know someone who does, let me go and speak to that person. That is the best way of actually setting yourself up for success, for getting the right information. Because without a strong mindset, it doesn't matter what we do, it doesn't matter who we learn from, because in reality, everything is flawed and corrupted from the start. Like, imagine this for a second. Let's say that you did get an offer with this kind of mindset that some candidates have. Well, as soon as you get given a problem, a task, something with uncertainty or ambiguity, and you just don't know how to do it, you're going to just throw in the cards and say, oh, this isn't for me, whatever. Or you're just going to hope that you're going to figure it out by the time that there's the deadline, which in reality is not a viable solution. You need to have a system in place to make sure that you get the work done as and when it's needed. So that's why it's important to have like this mindset aspect of things. Now, this feeds directly into the strategies, right? Because depending on the results that we get, which is the end, that's going to be based on the strategies. The strategies is essentially what we deploy, what we use, what we implement, what we leverage to be able to get to where we want to be and get the results that we want. And this is done through the actual strategies themselves, because there's good strategies and there's bad strategies. Now, for good strategies, it's going to be ones that most candidates aren't familiar with. They're going to be unique. They're going to be something that helps you stand out and establishes yourself in the market. And then bad strategies are going to be copying everybody else, doing the same things over and over again that is proven and tried and tested to not work. For example, things like using AI for your CV, or prepping for interviews using AI, or it's going to be doing a bunch of cold outreach, all of which have a very minimal success rates. And it makes you be seen as all of the other candidates out there. So what happens is the companies assess you like everyone else, which is of course not what we want. We want to be an isolated incident, and they actually assess us based on that and by ourselves, and not kind of grouping us in with the common trend. Now, when it comes to having these strategies, right, we need to have, once again, mindset, self-reflection to be able to understand if these strategies are actually working for us. Because if they're not, and we've been trying them for 6 months and we still don't have the ideal offer that we want in hand, we need to start changing the strategies. And for us to be able to do that, we need to have the mindset to say to ourselves, well, this clearly isn't working, let's find better strategies. Now, this leads directly into the results. Now, the results can be really anything that you're looking for. So your ideal tech role, it could be 6-figure salaries. It could be working at FANG like what I've done. It could be working in financial technology, which is also what I've done, same as the 6 figures. You can get really anything that you want, providing it's your ideal role. And this is how we do this, right? Because this is the 3-step framework. We have the mindset, the strategies, and the results. And every one of these is interlinked with one another. And I'll give you an example. If our ideal result is an ideal tech offer, that is mapped to us using the correct strategies to be able to get it. Because if we use the wrong strategies, we're going to not get it, we're going to alienate ourselves and get more rejections. So if we have the right strategies for that result, we then can trace that back to the mindset. Do we have the mindset to actually allow us to get these right strategies? Because the thing is though, with strategies, There's ones that work and there's ones that don't. And you've probably seen everywhere online the ones that simply don't work. So just grinding up the corporate ladder, settling for IT support, don't be too ambitious, just do cold outreach, just do more projects, more certifications, and if that doesn't work, get a master's, and then by the time of it, you're still open to work on LinkedIn and you don't have an offer lined up. That is the typical plan that people will tell you to do, and it simply doesn't work. So we're most likely familiar with the fact that this does not work. So we're looking for new strategies, and that is the mindset aspect of things. Because we need to have the mindset of saying, well, this clearly isn't working, let me go find those new strategies. Let me go find the person who has those strategies. And then from there you get the good strategies, you implement the good strategies, and you get the end result that you want. It's very simple, and if any single part of this breaks, so the mindset, the strategies, then the offers disappear as well. If the mindset is that we're not ready to invest into ourselves financially and with time to get some of the best strategies on the market, then we miss out on the good strategies, which means that we don't get the ideal results. And if we stay where we're at, using the strategies that aren't working, the bad strategies, then we're going to continue to get the rejections. It's very simple when you think about it. Like, you don't need to overcomplicate it or over-engineer it. It's just, do you have the mindset to invest into yourself and get the right strategies? If you do, you get the good strategies. And once you get the good strategies, you get 10x returns on the ideal role that you want based on whatever you invested originally. It's very simple when you think about it. Because you need to ask yourself, right? Because it's also about a loss of opportunities as well. I'll give you an example. Let's say your ideal tech role is 70k a year. And it's working in tech, it could be for whatever niche you're in. That result will be dictated based on the strategies that you're using, and the strategies that you have will dictate based on your mindset. Now, for every single day, or every single year, let's say, that we don't have the right mindset to get the right strategies to get that result, we're effectively costing ourselves £70,000 per year. Because think about it, if you had the right mindset, you invested into yourself, you've got the right strategies which would lead you into that 70k a year tech role, and you're not simply doing that, effectively that is costing you £70,000 a year, based on inaction, based on action in the wrong direction. And that's why it's so important to understand this framework, these three key components, because this is how I've managed to land Apple and Amazon engineer positions in my very early 20s. For those who don't know, I worked at Apple at 20 years old and 21 to about 23, and then I went into Amazon at 23 years old to 24. So this is how I actually managed to do this. I understood this framework. I basically just analyzed where I was stuck and just looked around me and saw what help I could find. And there was people online who, you know, made some videos about what I should focus on. I had recruiters telling me about certain things. Like I didn't have a mentor. I wish I did. That would have been fantastic. My clients have me as a mentor, so of course that works well for them. But at the time I didn't have a mentor. So there's various different ways of you getting the information, but you need to make sure that you do get the right strategies, and ideally from one source. Okay, so you're not going to get conflicting strategies from various different people, because I see this sometimes happen a lot as well, where you'll have a tech professional who's looking to land the ideal role. They'll go on LinkedIn, they'll message 15 FANG engineers, one of them being me, for example, and then essentially what happens is they get 15 conflicting strategies that simply do not lead to where they actually want to be, because they don't have tailored advice, everything is conflicting with one another, and it actually keeps them more stuck. So you need to understand these three key principles: mindset, strategies, and results, and how all of those are interlinked. Because if you have the right mindset to invest into yourself financially and with time to get the best strategies, you leverage those strategies to then get the right results. And it's that simple.